Okay, for the next few minutes, I'd like to report on two initiatives that I've been undertaking at the University of Alberta the past 3 months in promoting positive, productive interactions between our undergraduate students and people in the animal and poultry industries in Alberta. So since 2016, I've been matching up students and poultry industry reps in a 3-day work integrated learning program. This program has placed over 300 students since that time. In fact, in the winter of 2020, a year ago now, we actually placed 118 students for those 3 days. However, COVID changed everything, and we had to cancel the fall 2020 program. When it came around to February again this year, we usually run it, I changed up the program and put together a virtual program over Zoom. So it ran for 3 days as usual, and I arranged to have 32 people come in and talk for 30 minutes about their operations. And so of these 32, 12 were poultry people. And this is the list of who I had representing the poultry industry. So you can see that I had primary producers, but I also had other key industry people who shared their career trajectories, but also their job activities. This was a great place to showcase some of the really impressive videos that some people have made. In this case, Tara DeVries documented the weekly changes of her broilers from placement through to shipping. And this was a very impressive video, and I wish we had time to show it. Other people like Dr. Sasha Vanderklein, who is a recent graduate from Dr. Martin Zudoff's lab and is now chief geneticist with hybrid turkeys. And she and other people outlined what they do in their careers very well. And so in summary, the program went well virtually, but I really hope we're doing it live again in the fall. So if you're interested in being a producer host in next November, please let me know as soon as you can, because we're always looking for more places, and the dates we're going to be running with it are November 8th to 10th. Okay, the other thing I want to talk to you about is a major class project I was undertaking this semester with Drs. Martin Zudoff and Leanna Greenwich in the class Animal Science 101. And that's one of the challenges we had was this class has grown to 140 students this term. And that's a pretty big increase. So in the COVID world, people who are teaching are pretty discouraged about what we can do and what we can't do. And so I came up with an idea that I thought maybe we could do something even better than we usually do in person. So I came up with a project called the Game of Farm Life, which we have run before, but a bit differently. And the project was conducted online over 8 weeks. So I gave each of the students an assignment. So I said, I'm going to put you in a group of 3 to 4 students. I'm going to give you a farm scenario, like a commodity, number of animals and location, and you have to describe your farm. So you have to design it and talk about it. There were 36 farm groups, and for mentorship purposes, each group of students was provided the name and email address of a producer from that same commodity. Well, the coolest part was the lab guest. So each 80-minute lab period, we had a lab guest who was a livestock producer. So we had 30, and we gave them 30 to 60 minutes to talk about their farm. And so over the 8 weeks, we had 48 of these people come in and talk about their class. And the last ones happen this week. So we had great presentations from people like Mark and Hank Katarian, who talked about their turkey operation. We had Gary Van Clyde talking about his broiler breeders. He also came back another day and talked about his meat goats, so that's another story. We had Byron Ferentz talking about his new beautiful broiler barn. We had Scott Weens, who gave a very excellent program talking about his broiler farm, but also about the broiler industry and some of the technologies that people have access to. Todd Sires talked about his broiler operation and what he does between cycles for cleanout and how it works on a daily basis. Michael Hofer of Sunrise Colony talked about his layer operation. And we had another really good video from Trent Sungard about his broiler operation in southern Alberta. And likewise, Jeff Notenbaumer and his daughter Tiana put together a video about all aspects of the operation for broiler breeders that they run down by Lethbridge. Dan Kleinsasser talked about his farm and introduced Taryn Gilman, who was there that day on a vet check. And we had Levi Hofer yesterday from New York Colony talking about his layers. We talked about them in the context of enriched housing and the five freedoms. And Ellie Hofer of Scotford Colony took us through his layer operation virtually. So we had several people talk about biosecurity in the poultry industry, and Gentina Itzma talked about this in the context of her broader breeder farm and walked us through that facility. Now, the other thing that I really liked was the focus that these people put on this being a family farm. So in this case, Bernadette Vandenborn made it pretty clear that family farms are part of her, family is a pretty part of her farm. This was also really evident in a really nice video put together by Stephen Foote and Sylvia Dunkersgood about their farm, and really, really well. Finally, the queen of ag education herself, Susan Schaefers, talked about her pullet raising operation and her layers. And she also stressed family and did this by showing these photos of her family over 3 generations. And it's really nice to see Manfred and Elka Cadil in this picture as well, and we wish them all the best. So in summary then, this was a really positive experience for me, and I hope it was for the students. Several producers have commented that they really enjoyed the interaction, and in the 45 times that I've been involved with teaching this class, I'd have to say this one's my favorite, and I've had some pretty good ones. So I'm also just want to tell you that I'm pretty happy to be part of an industry where producers are willing to invest their time in the next generation of ag leaders by sharing their knowledge and experiences. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Frank. You know, your creativity and willingness to adapt to even a pandemic is always inspiring. But were you impressed with the producers, and did they enjoy the experience of, you know, actually putting their story on video and you know, being able to share it that way?
Well, as far as I can tell, they did. I think one of the best examples we had was yesterday when Michael Hofer came in and talked about their aviary system. And the thing this whole thing taught me how little I know about the world, because I had never seen that kind of a system. And we had, like, he was obviously very knowledgeable, and I learned a lot, the students learned a lot, and I think he enjoyed it because he gave a quite lengthy presentation, and it was awesome.
Now, just a reminder to all our participants, if you have a question for Dr. Frank about it, this is where you just type it into the question and answer, and we'll be sure and ask him. Now, I understand you've provided a couple of these videos that we've made on our main page here that people can also see.
Yeah, there's two, I think. There's the Trent Sungard video and the Tara DeVries video, but I have most of our producers did PowerPoint presentations, and so we have recorded all 48. Well, we have the last 2 today, but we have recorded 46 presentations, and so it's a huge wealth of information that, you know, I think will live for a long time. And I never ever thought I would be an advocate of online learning, but I think this worked out better than some of the in-person stuff we did.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions come in. So I think you've answered, Mike. So the farm tours specifically, if people want to see them, are they available through you, or is there a way people can see the farm tours?
Well, I don't know the answer to that yet, but if they contact me, I'm pretty sure we can make them available.
Okay. Now, the other question is, will you do this again now that you've had the success of it? You know, what do you think once the pandemic is over? I know you mentioned you want to do it live and give that real in-person experience, but is this an option, especially like when we think about biosecurity and people visiting farms?
Well, I hope we can do it again. My problem is I have a best before date on my forehead that says I might not be here a lot longer. But I think this, in combination with some real farm tour, like in-person tours, would be awesome. And what I told my class yesterday was, I think every one of these people can put on their resume that they have interacted with farmers, and then say 8 times in a class. So I just think it's amazing.
And I guess the other thing too, I mean, in agriculture, we talk about a labor shortage. We need to have people that aren't as familiar with agriculture in school and learning and wanting careers in ag. Is this important to give them that real life kind of ag experience and let them know what really happens on farms beyond the classroom.
Well, I think this is like lighting a fire under some people to see what's really going on. And what I really like is when we have students from other faculties like science and arts come in there and then end up changing their program to agriculture based on this and seeing where they fit in. And we have examples of those people in the poultry industry right now, that people were in science and happen to take this class. And I just think it's really positive.
And you've probably got numerous success stories from students that really have, I've seen it in some of your programs where they've come in having to take your first introduction to ag class and then end up successfully in careers in ag.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.